I'm acting as a customer right now. I will email a store asking if an item is available. Now, look at my phone. Instead of me logging into Gmail or Shopify, my automation just pinged me on WhatsApp with a ready-made answer. It's factual, it's professional, and it's based on my data. Here's the best part. I'm not just a bystander. If I want to change the tone or add a discount code, I don't have to go to my computer. I also have this message here on my phone, so I could reply to this on the fly and ask the AI to regenerate the draft. So for example, I can say something like, and it will regenerate the draft. How cool is that? Once it looks okay, I just type okay. And the email is sent. No tab switching, no copy pasting, and no AI hallucinations going out to the customer ever, because you have the full control. Hey, I'm Marcel, and I help e-commerce owners scale their operations using AI. This system is a game changer because it's 100% scalable and requires zero coding to set up. Currently, it's configured to handle inventory questions, but I'm going to show you how to add additional use cases along with a complete behind the curtain view of how this automation works step by step. I'm using a visual automation platform called Mig.com. I've built two primary scenarios, automated workflows that connect different apps. Scenario A processes incoming customer emails and drafts the response. Scenario B manages the approval process and dispatches the final email. In addition to this, I use Twilio to handle WhatsApp messages and notifications. You will see how that fits into the picture shortly. But for now, let's zoom in on scenario A and see exactly what happens from the moment an email hits your inbox to the delivery of a WhatsApp notification containing the ready-made answer. To start, notice the scenario is organized into these bubble-looking things. These are called modules. Each module represents a specific step in the workflow, usually corresponding to an app or a built-in tool. The first such module I have here is Gmail Watch Email. If I click into this, you can see that it basically represents a connection to my Gmail account and triggers the automation whenever a new email arrives. Next up is a set variable tool. I use this to grab the email's message ID and strip it down to the first 4 characters. Then we save it as approval ID. This creates a handy shorthand code that we'll use later to identify and approve our replies. And now we arrived at the very interesting part, the OpenAI chat completion module. Take a look at this because it illustrates perfectly the role AI typically plays in business automation. This module establishes a direct connection to OpenAI where I specify the model to be used. In this case, GPT 5.2. If you use the ChatGPT app, this is the exact same model you're interacting with there. The only difference is that now we're accessing it via a programmatic call, also called as an API call, instead of a chat interface. Right, so then I add a system prompt. Basically, we pre-configure the model so that when we pass in our actual message, it already knows how to behave and what type of reply we expect. So now I scroll down and you will see what the input message is, classify this customer email, and extract the product request. Below that, we pull the key details from this email we processed in the first module. Since that first module read the incoming email and stored this content as metadata, we can simply map those details directly into this prompt. It's very similar to how we extracted message ID in the previous step. Finally, we tell the model exactly what format we want the data to be returned in. This is crucial. We don't want a generic chat reply. We want structured data that we can easily process downstream in the next steps of the workflow. Okay, so next we have a parse JSON module. Here we basically take the output from the OpenAI module, which is a JSON formatted text reply, and we use this parsing module to transform that text into a set of variables we can directly use. Right, so let me show you this data structure. This is a data type that we use in a conditional evaluation, along with a confidence level derived from the AI output. This is what comes next, although currently this router acts more like a filter because we only have this one path. However, we could easily add other paths for different reasons. And this is exactly how you would extend this automation to handle additional business scenarios. For example, delivery status or general product requests. We would simply adjust the AI prompt to pick up on those additional clues, create the necessary status flags, and then route the automation down a different path with custom logic for each case. I'm going to show you a practical example towards the end of the video, so make sure to stick around. Also, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, so for now, I'm going to delete these and let's just follow this horizontal path. Once we confirm the email is a stock-related question, We move to Google Sheets. I have the sheet called inventory with some sample data. Of course, it's not a realistic inventory, but it illustrates how we can connect to an external system to retrieve real-time information. So we tap into this inventory sheet and extract data from the columns. Using this text aggregator module, then we make another connection to OpenAI, and this time we ask it to draft the actual reply to the customer, again in a JSON format, and we provide it with all the necessary context, specify the output, and add a couple of business rules that we want the AI to follow. All right, so once this is done, we parse the JSON. So we take the output of this module and parse it. So we have all the details that we need to know. And now we simply have this data store, this database module. Right, so we take all these variables and we load it into the database. We create a new row for a unique ID and we load all the data into that row. This is what it looks like. This database is actually built directly into Make, a feature called Data Store. I can access it from the sidebar, but it appears empty right now because the second scenario is set to clean up the draft once the message is sent. So let's go back. Finally, we've reached the Twilio module. Twilio is a cloud communication service that allows us to programmatically initiate phone calls, SMS, and WhatsApp messages. On the Twilio side, they provide a test number to act as the sender. And then in the to field, I've added the number invited to my sandbox, in this case, my personal phone. And then, as you can see, the message includes the draft details and provides two options. Either you can approve the message or edit it. I'll explain exactly how that part of the automation works next as we open scenario B. Okay, so now we're looking at scenario B. This scenario manages the approval process and dispatches the final email. Let's walk through exactly how that happens. So the first module is a webhook. This is basically a custom link available on the internet that anyone can send data to. Obviously, it contains a long randomly generated text that isn't very guessable, so it's highly unlikely anyone would find it, let alone send anything to it for fun. What happens in practice, and you can see this if we go back to Twilio, is that you, the owner, give this URL to an external app, which then sends data if something happens. Whenever a new message arrives, meaning the last module in scenario A has run, and the message was relayed to this WhatsApp sandbox, Twilio will ping this URL and send along the details of the message. This module then picks up the data and passes it to the text parser. The text parser uses regular expressions to extract the key attributes from the message body. So this is this strangely looking pattern, but you can recognize that it is looking for certain keywords. Then we simply use the approval ID, which is one of those attributes, to retrieve the draft message and all its details from the database. Following that, we have some simple conditional logic. If the user approved the email, meaning the comment variable is okay, then we locate the relevant Gmail thread. You can see we use the thread ID, which we also store in the database. Then we populate the body of the email with the draft, which we also pull from the database, and then simply send out the email. You can see this is a reply to an email Gmail module. Once we send out the email, we simply notify the owner account on WhatsApp. We send this notification, attach the approval ID and the customer email, right? So this is the same notification you saw me receiving when I typed in OK and approved the email to be sent out to the customer. And the last step here is that we clean up the database. Oops. So we delete the relevant row using the approval ID. Okay, now, if you do not approve the message, so instead of OK, the command comes back as edit, then we have to take a slightly different approach. We need to regenerate the reply based on the instructions in this edit text variable, which we retrieved from this data package that Twilio sent us to the webhook. And the existing details like draft subject, draft body, we have those in the database. We can just pull them out and add as context to this prompt and then simply ask the AI to regenerate a message. Here again, you've seen this 1,000 times. We take the output from this module and then we parse it. We load the content, we separate the content out into variables. This is just subject and body. And we load these into the database. So notice we have an update record module here. So instead of deleting the existing row, we just simply update the draft subject and the draft body to the new ones. And then we again notify the admin account that the updated draft is ready for approval. And they again will have the option to either reply with OK or edit, right? You can see that you can edit the message as many times as you want, right? So it will just keep re-triggering the webhook, and then all this happens again and again and again until you finally approve the draft, at which point the other path executes to send the email and clear the database. So now, before wrapping up the video, I just want to show you in practice how easy it is to add additional use cases. So I'm coming back to scenario A, and remember, this OpenAI module is where we determine the customer intent. And currently we are listening only to inventory related questions. We can change that easily. I'm going to just tweak the prompt a bit, not going to rewrite everything to keep it simple. Okay, I will click save, and I will save this updated module. And then we will need to add this to the JSON schema. So I will click edit. I will add a new item, is opening hours question, and I will set the data type to a Boolean data type because it's either true or false. Save. Then we of course need to add a new path to the router. So I will click this plus icon, and here I will set the condition rules. So if is opening hours question true, and confidence is bigger than, I don't know, 0.6, for example. All right, so now we have to build out this path, which is going to be rather simple. So first of all, I will head over to Google Docs, and I will create a new document that we're gonna be using. So let's call this opening hours. And I will just use Gemini to help me create a sample opening hours. Right, it looks pretty good. I will insert. And then I will simply go back to our scenario, and I will add a new module, Google Docs, get content of a document. And this will be connected to my account. You might have to give permission, but I've already done that. So this works just fine. I can choose by drop down, and then here I will have the option to choose a document from my Google Drive. So I will choose this opening hours document that we've just created, and then I will click save. Next up, I will add a new text aggregator. And for the source module, I will simply use this one, so that whatever text we retrieved from this document, we will aggregate that text using this text aggregator. Then we need to add a new AI module. So let's pick a model, and let's add a system prompt, similar to what we had earlier. And then we will have this specific opening hours prompt, but we have to adjust. So we have to make sure that we pick the output of this module. This will be this module 33. Text aggregator bundle. So we pass that into the prompt, and then we just simply click save. Now we need to add a parse JSON. We can create a data structure for this. So I will create parse opening hours, for example, as a data structure, right? And then I will add these items. So subject, which will be a text item, and then the body of the message, which will also be a text item. And then we'll click save. For the JSON string, we will have to reference the output of this preceding module. And then I will add the data store. I can actually just copy this. I can say clone, and then I will connect it with this one, so I don't have to enter so many things. The product query will be empty because we are not talking about products, and the draft subject and the draft body, we will have to change these things to reference our previous module. So here we'll add subject, and then here we will add the body. Right, so this is sourcing from this flow here. Right, click save. And then finally, we have to add this Twilio module. Again, I will just clone this because I'm lazy and I don't want to type that much. I will have to change a couple of things. I will have to change the key because it is currently using the key from the flow above. So we will have to use the key from here. And then for the subject, we again will have to use this subject, and the proposed reply would be this reply. There we go. And then here also we have to update the key and the key. Okay, so I will click save. And now I will save again the whole scenario, and we're ready to go. So let's test this out. I'm opening my emails. Let me draft this quickly. There it is. Let's send it. Okay, there it is. I just realized I made a mistake. So here we use the source module, but we didn't actually specify what text we want to grab. So I have to add this content bundle from the same source module, and I have to save it. And then we have to retest because this is the reason the data was not pulling. I could see here the input was empty, which resulted in an equally empty output, which then cascaded down here. And that's why we ended up with an incorrect answer. Now that this has been fixed, it should work just fine. So let me retest it. Let's write an email again. I will pick another day. Let's pick Monday and maybe add also Sundays. All right, so let's send. Okay, there it is. So let's now check if this is accurate. So I'll come back here and let's compare. So Monday 9 to 6, that looks okay. And Sunday 11 to 4, that also looks okay. So this is now working fine. I will approve the message and let it send out to the customer. There we go. Looks perfect, and now it is finally accurate. So that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you found it useful. Make sure to like it and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more automations in the e-commerce space. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.